We'll begin. So we'll take a seated position. Align the skull bones over your sit bones. We're going to change our breathing. So connect to your Ujjayi breath. So you hear it differently, you feel it differently, and it moves our body differently. A few of those breath changers in there. So our breath work today will work, the ratio is 10-10-10, and the technique is Shitali. So this is the inhalation that we bring over our tongue surface. That'll be a 10 count in draw over our tongue surface, a 10 count hold, and a 10 count exhalation. So really simple. Again, the Shitali is, you can curl your tongue. If you can't curl your tongue, you can simply bring the air right in between your fingers. That will push and curl the tongue. You can actually push the cheeks around the tongue. That's a 10-10-10. If you've begun, keep going. And one of the most important things, I think, well, that's a big one. I think a really cool thing that we get to do in our practice is rewrite our reward system, rewrite our ability to notice what feels good, what is good, what feels delightful, even ecstatic. And sometimes in our quest on that, we'll say the ecstatic spectrum, sometimes it's good to notice and feel even the teeny tiny non-neutral good moments. And so that'll be our practice for today, is catching all of the waves, the little ones, the big ones. When we register, this is good, this feels good. This is when my body and my person light up. And that we can re-script this in using such basic tools as breath and our own cells, our prana, our life force. It's pretty amazing. We'll finish the one that we're on and we'll do one more. And then seated in straddle. So when you're through with that, we'll separate our legs into seated straddle. And we'll move into a side bend over this inner right leg. So inhale, and taking the left arm up away from the left sit bone, and exhaling and keeping that left sit bone connected to the ground. Reach the torso, reach the arm over this inner right leg. So that quality of lit upness, that quality of waking upness, or even that quality of this is good. It's the known, this is good, this feels good. How do we do the poses that help us trigger many, many, many remembrances? And then forward fold, so bringing the left hand down. So now our sternum is moving in the direction of our right foot. I like to bring my hands on either side of my right leg. We walk our way back, we'll switch sides. So 2 moves, side bend, forward fold. Over our left leg, our left inner leg in straddle. Inhale, the right arm away from the right sit bone. And exhaling. Lengthening both the torso and the arm over this inner left leg. It can be very easy to get kind of hooked on what's not waking up, what feels groggy, what feels achy. And can be such a fine line to shift. Oh, this is starting to wake up. I bring a deep breath here. Here it's opening. Here it's starting to brighten up. Here that effervescing process is occurring. Here, right here, it's starting to brighten. So this waking up can be a part of a gladdening of the senses. And that forward fold, so we'll bring that right hand down. And the chest is moving over this inner left leg or left shin. The same techniques, the same processes that can affirm and confirm our problems can affirm and confirm our goodness. And it's just a very slight shading of perspective and how we're selecting to take in and interpret this energy information. It's just a hair's width difference. There you go. And then inhale, we'll walk our way up. And then we'll put our spine on the ground, lying. And we'll go through twisted root abs. So we'll cross our right knee over our left. And if the knee agrees, we'll hook the right foot behind the left calf. I've got those knees over pelvis or even a little higher over the lower belly. With the low back on the ground, we inhale, the head, shoulders just a little bit up. And then exhaling, with the legs kind of work and press and twine into each other. So there's a little more rotation, a little more turn, a little more kind of muscular waking up around the hip socket. Lifting, moving the thigh bones to the sky. Draw the low belly down. Inhaling. And then exhaling. The leg pressing into the leg. So there's a deepening of that internal rotation if you have a sense of that direction, that turning motion. Thighs lift up, not feet, but kneecaps. Sink the low belly down. And again, inhale. And exhaling is curling the tailbone, which is a process of engaging the abdominals, the lowest abdominals. The thigh bones lift up. The leg bones pressuring each other, turning on the muscles. Deep in the groin, pull low belly down. And inhale the head down, release the legs. We'll switch over to the other side. So left over right. Inhale, head, shoulders off the ground, tiny bit. And exhaling, curling the tailbone, letting the legs press each other. Thighs move to the sky, pull low belly down. Inhaling into the hip crease. Exhaling. The left thigh presses the right thigh. Right thigh pulling into the left thigh. Thigh bones each lifting toward the sky. Draw low belly down. All right, last one. Inhale. And exhaling. Release. So we're going to use our roll or our block in bridge. So place it between the legs. And then set the feet either hip width or that prop width. Inhaling. Feet active. Exhale, shift the tailbone toward the sky. The butt lifts. And continuing to engage that prop with your inner legs, entering bridge. So as you're engaging the inner legs and entering bridge, you have to also turn on the backs of those legs. So inner, back of leg. Deepening breath. So as we're starting to engage, just noticing the shape of the breath may have diminished or changed. Then lowering out of bridge. We're doing that with any amount of vigor or waking up. That's a lot on the legs. When we turn over, we're going to set up dolphin. And we'll be working one leg up at a time. So just keeping that in mind. I know a couple of you like to set up near the wall. And then with our forearms on the ground, so the elbows are under the shoulders. Taking one of those deeply pleasurable, life-affirming breaths. And exhaling the knees off the ground. The import of finding pleasure in a regular, consistent, and deep way in our practice is so vital to the continuance and sustaining a practice. And it's not an aphorism. We're not telling ourselves with our frontal lobe, you're good enough, you're great, this is fine, this is good. It's operating from the sensory, being quite specific to feel the qualities of waking up, the qualities of opening up, the qualities of enlivening and feeling fuller and a richness in the body, and going that. All of those little acknowledgement moments of feeling our own brilliance, our own luminescent qualities. So here's that leg work. We'll take that right leg, lifting it away from the ground. And spread the foot bones. Reach so verily through that right leg, you get lighter in the shoulders. And we'll set that right foot down. And we trade sides. Left foot, left leg. And stretching through, reaching through all that inner leg, back of leg. We were vitalizing with all of that squeezing and engagement. Find those same areas and starting to move that energy through the groin and the back of the leg. There you go. Ooh, legs are vital. And then we'll set that left foot down, set the knees down. We'll rest. Two washes of breath across that upper back. All right. And when we stand, we'll take a horse stance. And we'll work some rounds of Agnisara. So it's the many pullings in and releasings. So a sufficiently wide stance where you can feel a little bit of the hips and the groin, but if we go our lowest, loosest, I don't find that to be too, I don't find more benefit from that. So just enough. With the feet active, inhale into the abdomen, and the groin, the perineum. And exhale, swift exhalation. Everything out. Stay empty, draw the belly in, and release. 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 And we'll do another. When you're ready, exhale everything out. And it's right out the mouth very quickly. Stay empty. Draw the belly in. Release. Draw the belly in. Release. Draw the belly in. Release. You do the next round on your own. So if you want to go faster, want to go slower, last round, Agnisara. When you're ready, we'll begin. Adjust the feet inwardly, just a smidge. We'll keep the wide stance as we interlace our hands behind back for a chest opening fold. Inhale. Sending the knuckles away from the collarbone. And exhaling. The feet active, the legs active. Fold forward. So engaging those quadriceps, the muscles above the kneecaps, as you're folding. It's easy to let those quads go. Use them to gain access into the backs of the legs. The backs of the knees, more specifically. And we'll inhale the hands down to the waist, releasing the hands. And then heel toe, your feet more closely together. And we'll stand at the top of our mat. Chair pose. Inhale, bend knees, reach the arms up, and with the arms, the ribs. Feel that the arms help the ribs lengthen away from the pelvis. Exhale, fold. So we're going to hang out in this fold for just some moments. We're going to do a little repeat, a recovering of some ground. Bend the knees as much as you need to accomplish two things. One, the palms fully contact the ground, namely the index part of the palm. And two, the ribs touch the thighs. Both of those conditions, and I would set the hands just a tiny bit wider than the shoulders. Now begin to straighten the arms and begin to only straighten the legs as much as you need to straighten the arms. And actively drawing the shoulders away from your neck and head. Inhaling into the upper back. So hopefully this is putting a nice little stretch across some places. For some of you it might be the legs, for some of you it might be the upper back. Now we'll step the feet back into plank and pause in plank for one additional moment. Those index palm parts are still pushing. Inhale, push, so the ribs lift up between the shoulder blades. Exhaling, lower down. It's okay if you need to set your knees down. Cobra, set the hands forward. Inhale, draw your chest forward away from your abdomen. And exhaling, downward dog. And give downward dog another breath moment. Melting the heels toward the earth. And warrior two. Inhale, right foot forward. And exhaling, opening up the hands, the feet, and out reaching through the arms, through the legs, thus softening and opening the hip sockets, the shoulder socket area, so that area around the heart, around the pelvis, vitalizes. Often where we perceive openness, very close by is that sense of the body waking up, that fullness and that liveliness. And exhale, bringing the arms into eagle, the left over the right. Inhale, unwind. I'm going to straighten out this right leg for triangle. Adjust your left as needed. Exhaling, reach to the right. And thus lengthening the right side ribs. Once we have that right hand set, raise the left arm. Feeling that opening through the shoulders, all the shoulders that you have. And then you can start to reach back. Opening the shoulders moves those blades away from one another. We're not just smashing the bones into that back of heart area. And then turning open. It's a function of those ribs moving. Inhale, bringing the left hand nearer to the left hip. I'm going to move in, interlock, bend right knee, adjusting the left foot back if necessary, and exhaling the right arm under the right thigh. And deepening breath, right? Mm-hmm. Press through that left heel, almost like you're trying to lift your forefoot off of the ground. I mean, leave it on the ground, but as if, right? Press into that heel as those back of leg and leg muscles engage. The tailbone shifts away from your brain and get incredible access into the back. And release. Inhale, we'll go hands to ground. Exhaling, step right foot back into plank. Pause just one moment in plank. Inhale. Press with the index part of your palm. So the rib cage lifts between the blades, and engage the legs so the backs of the knees open to the sky. Exhaling will lower. So you lower how you need to. Cobra, inhale. Exhaling, lower, downward dog. All right, warrior two. Inhale the left foot forward. Reaching those arms out to the side. Exhaling. Pressing groundward with the legs. Slight opening around the pelvis. That feels vital to you. Deep breath. Opening the hands out, reaching them away from the shoulders as you feel and sense the shoulders. If that is vital to you, if you recognize that as, oh, body waking up, deep breath. So this is not about shutting off and just whatever the sensation is, big deal. No, it's find all of those pleasurable moments in waking the body up. What a beautiful way to repair and rebuild our reward system. Arms and eagle, which is hooking the right over the left this time. And bringing those washes of breath into the back of the heart. Inhaling, unwind. Triangle, if I'm not mistaken. Reaching those arms out, adjusting our feet distance, exhaling, left hand reach, left ribs lengthen. Right arm reach. All right, interlock. Inhaling, we'll lower the right hand near the hip, bending the left knee, adjusting the feet, exhaling, left arm under left thigh. Keep reaching through that heel, so you're engaging the butt. The tail's got a direction. And I'll give you direct access into these massively deep hip and back structures. For many of us, these are the ones that get so incredibly tone. They carry a lot of tone. And breathing, being able to access those thick back structures can be such medicine. Good, release. Inhale, we'll go hands down. Exhaling, stepping back into plank. Pausing one moment in the plank to do two things. Press the ribs up and open the backs of the knees to the sky. Exhaling, lowering. Now you decide, inhaling upward dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward dog. All right. Step any foot forward, have a seat. We'll do two things. So one is we're going to work Titibhasana. And if you're not balancing your weight on the hands, then we'll work this as a straddle splits, and you'll walk and work your way down and into straddle splits. However, so let me start again. For Titibhasana, we want a lot of that leg squeezing ability. So from that squatting position, kind of crouching our legs over our arms. We're walking our legs out and then squeezing them to ascend. I'm deciding on the fly. I'm just going to show this to you from sitting on blocks. Now, if you choose to sit on blocks, it's a really beautiful way to just position your body and feel it. The thing is, put it against a wall. Don't assume that putting the blocks in the middle of the room will result in the blocks staying in the middle of the room. If they're foam, they fly. Foam flies. All right, so we get the arms under the thighs. And if I just want to camp out on those blocks and keep things light on the hands, I walk, 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 walk. Squeeze and reach, squeeze and reach. I'm pulling the shoulders away from the neck. Okay, sustain it for 8 breaths. If you're working Titiba, you float up off the blocks, sustaining that for 8 breaths. If you're not doing any amount of hand pressure stuff, straddle splits at least 8 breaths. Does that sound like a plan? All right. I'll talk through this Titiba. I'll talk through it with the props again, in case you like the follow along. So I've placed 2 blocks against a wall. I'm sitting on them. Right arm under right thigh. I plant the palm. Left arm under left thigh. I plant the palm. My hands are just a little wider than the shoulders. Now I'm in a nice, deep, crouchy place. The same altitude as a pet. I start to walk the feet forward. Actively pull the shoulders away from the neck as your weight is being distributed onto the arms. Pushing down through the legs, the leg muscles. Squeezing through the inner legs. You'll start to pluck your butt right off the blocks. And to be quite honest, sometimes I'll squeeze and I'll let my feet touch the floor, so my hands are supporting me, my feet are touching the ground, and I'm leaning against the wall. I'll just pluck and lean. I'm going to watch you for a moment. There you go. Nice. Pluck and fly. Pluck and breathe. It's great. I'm glad you're all trying the Titiba. It's really an amazing way to get into the upper back, in my opinion. There you go. Nice. I'm going to sustain that for 8 breaths. So just so it's not a dine and dash. All right, I went there. Bye. The nice thing about the blocks on the wall is when you need to exit, you end up taking a very soft seat down. It's really important to not biff our tailbone on the ground if we can help it. Well, great. Since we all did TT Ba, then we can also do straddle. I love this. So when you're done floating and flying, then we'll start from a very wide straddle and we'll walk our feet out. Deep breath into the lowest part of pelvis. When you're working into straddle, you can either set your forearms on the ground, your hands, or some of you might be walking it down to a point of sitting down. And if you haven't sat down, then using your hands behind you, ease, sit down. If you're not close enough to ease your butt to the ground, just have a seat. And we're going to finish up with the same pranayama that we started with. So we'll just do 3 rounds. Shitali, so pouring that breath over the tongue surface 10, holding 10, exhaling 10 in straddle. Here we go. If you're holding a significant amount of leg engagement or leg stretch, notice what's starting to happen as you work this breath into the seated straddle. And then resume your Ujjayi breath. We're going to manually help the legs out of that straddle. Dandasana, that right angle pose. It's not what it's called, it's just how I see it. We'll straighten the legs out in front of us. And with this one, we're going palms Under shoulders are just a little wider. The index palm pad is pressing. But we're not letting the elbows bend out to the sides. And pressing down, not to lift anything up, but just straighten the arms. Inhale, grow the ribs vertically. And then exhaling, keeping the pressures down through the palms, the hands. Press the shoulders away from the head. Two more deep breaths. So we're kind of holding the torso, the ribs in a bit of suspension. And release Shavasana. So when you lie back, we'll release the technique of breathing. But the awareness and the remembrance of what's vital and what's good and what constitutes that feeling of fullness, that still remains. That still remains. And so I encourage you in these rest moments to, in a sense, marinate or absorb or linger with and sustain that recognition of, this is where it feels vital. This is my vitality. This is where it feels bright, almost joyful. This is where, and this is when I feel content. Contentment is on that ecstatic spectrum. Oh, I'm really glad I woke up and did something for myself. Right? There's that sense of pride and that self-joy. This is where it feels brilliant. This is how it feels enlightening. This is where my body feels light. So important for our practice to be linked to deeply vital, pleasurable instances. It actually helps the learning process or the relearning process. It helps us learn this becoming spirit. It helps us learn. When you're ready. And of course, you're welcome to remain longer if you like. But if you're ready to move, bend knees. Turn to a side. And press to the seated position you like. It's great to be with you. Namaste.